Psycho X gets my egoless revenge with a side of heavy-duty karma. The following story happened 13-8 years ago, and I apologize in advance for the length because it is a bit involved. I was in a 9-year relationship with a girl I met in college. We split up on the eve of my 29th birthday. While breakups and divorce are never trauma-free, this one was as close to it as I believe is humanly possible. There were no fights and minimal drama, and I relocated to a new city to start over and be closer to my father/stepmother/half-sisters, as I'm close to them, and it was nice to have family during this. Get an apartment, start over, and everything will be fine. Then I run into her. Things seemed to be going well with her at first. She was diametrically opposed to my ex. She's quiet yet nice, had her life relatively together. My first wife was very unfocused and terrible with money. Physically a complete contrast, wild in the bedroom. I thought I'd struck gold. Anyway, I'm madly in love with her. We have a whirlwind romance, move in soon, and have this glamorous life where we make good money. She was a corporate accountant, I had a decent small business, and we're pulling in $150K plus combined. Rent a luxury apartment, one car is paid for and the other is brand new, and have no children. Things are going well, except for the fact that we drink too much together and have some other underlying issues that I'm not aware of at the time. After 6 months of dating and 9 years of knowing each other, we get drunk one night and drive to Vegas, where we get married on the Strip after 6 months of dating and 9 years of knowing each other. The ink on my divorce papers from version 1.0 is barely dry, but I'm in love. My family likes her in general. Her entire family adores me. We take in cats. We discuss the possibility of having a child. We upgrade our lives and incur more debt just as the housing bubble bursts and the economy tanks. She loses a couple of jobs due to her inability to show up on Mondays, and I begin to lose clients as the ones I have begin to cut their advertising budgets, my field. Things start to get squeezed, and she starts complaining, then becomes petulant, because we can't spend as much as we used to, our quarterly mini vacations are drying up, and we're cooking at home instead of going out to eat 4 times a week. We basically stopped having about a year into the relationship. I didn't realize it at the time because I was stupid and love blind, but she cheated on me during this time. See, knowing what we're up against with our regular bills plus our credit cards, I go out and get a job bartending at a posh resort. The only other real skill I had at the time that was marketable. To supplement my income, I worked 2 other part-time jobs. She still complains and gives me an ultimatum before I even start getting paychecks, blaming me. I say, fine, screw this. We would have started to turn a financial corner if we had hung in there for a few more months. Instead, she transforms into a two-faced, mean-spirited on me. She attempts suicide by scratching her wrist with a Leatherman the night we first fight, then calls 911, gets admitted to the hospital. I arrive home to cops telling me this, and has the security guard toss me when I show up to see if she's okay because she doesn't want to talk to me. I use quotation marks because there was a small collection of firearms nearby that I bought for her target shooting hobby that were untouched, indicating that it was clearly just a ploy for attention. We basically fight for the next week, and I give her everything she wants, including leaving the house, signing over my new truck to her, and only taking what I brought into the relationship, which is roughly enough to fill a small storage space. She's financially strapped, so I sell my office furniture for cash and don't even touch the bank account. I just take my biz money and 1ccs that I haven't shared with her. I move to the Bay Area for a few months, struggle financially, and don't get the job I thought was a sure thing. During this time, I had a realization one evening that I was drinking too much and that it was causing a slew of problems in my life. So I quit and haven't touched a drop since. Broke and realizing that nothing I try is working, I return to town, live with my father for a month, find a roommate, then a retail job. My business has dropped from 7-8K per month at its peak to now around 500/mo. I bike everywhere because I can't afford a car, and my credit is toast partly due to her penchant for spending on plastic, so I'm facing bankruptcy. I'm 31 years old, and this is extremely humbling, but whatever, I'm alive. I've dealt with adversity before, and this won't last forever. She kept her house, filed for personal bankruptcy on her debts, kept her car, and began dating a series of men a few weeks after we split up. While I never asked for specifics, she appears to have reached out to a few of my friends and badmouthed me a little. This would be mildly annoying except for two factors. She's dragging her feet on the divorce due to a lack of funds to file, maintains contact under the guise of us needing to talk, but engages in emotionally manipulative head games throughout the sequence. I've realized I still love you, that's why you can make me cry so easily, and other nonsense Hallmark movie lines like this. Also, because we live in a smaller and more tightly knit suburb, she talks to people everywhere I go, including my church, the bookstore I frequent, and the coffee shop right next to my house. Says I cheated on her and was physically emotionally abusive, complete nonsense, but whatever, that I stalk her, that I stole tens of thousands of dollars from her, the whole 9 yards. Some people believe her. I was even threatened with violence by a want-to biker twice my age one night, which is a funny story but not the point. Finally, after some more nonsense and backhand forth, she leaves town. More lies surrounding this, including her borrowing some money that she didn't end up repaying and charging me a massive overage on our cell bill right before we split the account. My stupid, trusting heart hurts, but I'm mostly relieved to see her go, realizing she's only nice to me when she wants something. She travels to New York to up with another guy and becomes pregnant 15 minutes later. Finally, he sends me divorce papers. I sign it and return it quickly, with all notarized documents organized and flagged. She tries to be friends, and I'm not having any of it. She gets irritated when I'm businesslike. She messes up her filing and blames it on me. Whatever, I say, and let the court issues be resolved. The child is born 1 week after the divorce is finalized. Thank God, she didn't say anything else for the next 2 years. I start a new career, begin to advance in it, and begin dating a new woman, with whom I am still in a relationship 10 years later. They knew each other, and she didn't like her, partly because one of my ex's infidelity partners was her ex-husband, at a time when they were considering patching things up for the sake of the kids, though there were multiple reasons for her distrust. Apparently she always gave my wife an icky intuitive feeling. So let's fast forward 2 years. I get a phone call from my current fling. She was just talking to a friend who was also a very brief roommate of her after we split up. She's ending her relationship with the baby's father. There's a custody battle going on. He's saying he's not sure if it's his. Will I assist her? So, even though I don't trust or like her, I say yes because it's the right thing to do. I get the call, along with a story. Most of it doesn't add up. He took the child but believes it's mine. To prove paternity, I'd have to come to New York and take a paternity test at one of their facilities. He hit her, put a GPS tracker on her car. Her brother is a Russian mobster who threatened her and so on. Even without this fanciful story, I'm suspicious because I generally assume that if this woman is talking, she's lying, so I'm suspicious. Her lawyer calls and appears to be a bumbling. I receive a letter from him that is unprofessional and does not even use letterhead. Every other legal document I've seen does. From the law offices of blah blah on it, but it's literally just off a laser printer, and says, verbatim, I, MK, am the ex-husband of JK, and was married to her from 6/0/78/09. I have no legal claim to the child. Very shady. I make my own lawyer consultation appointment because I don't want to end up in a situation where I've allowed myself to be legally over. Before I can even leave, the baby daddy finds me on Facebook and messages me. Between phone calls with him, his lawyer, and the neutral lawyer appointed by New York State for the child's welfare, I get a very different story. He knows it's his. He had a paternity test performed on the sly at birth because she had been promiscuous before they met, and she became pregnant so quickly that he was concerned. They split up because she drank too much. He caught her with a bottle of vodka while she was driving with the child in the car. She stood up in court, claimed I was the father, and she didn't know where to find me. He found me in 10 seconds online. I'm a tech guy with a massive social media presence, a tech blog, multiple writing credits on publications, my freighting name as a domain, and I've had the same cell phone number for 14 years. Also, the other BS was just that. He's an IT guy for a university and his brother works for a carpet cleaning chain. And he never hit or stalked her, etc., just like in our relationship. So, unaware of what I know, she begins sending me text messages. I toss it in the trash and say, filled out and on its way back to your lawyer. I'm tempted to send her a poetic message about how the truth is coming back to haunt her. But I resist because I'm doing this for their son and his father, not for me, so let's keep my ego out of it. Everyone in the court receives legal statements from me. Tell them I know it's not mine because I haven't seen her since April 15, 2008, and the kid's birthday is in September of 2009. I remember the date because, due to taxes, I got twice that day. Explain when she was in New York, which is the most likely date of conception, and demonstrate that I was thousands of miles away on the West Coast. Tell them to look through her social media, where she meticulously tagged herself and took tons of photos of even the most mundane of their locations. Send a blood sample to a nearby lab. Tell them juicy details about her drinking and occasional drug use, such as abused prescriptions and a previous hospitalization for psych eval due to taking far too many pills. Court arrives, and she is taken aback. Apparently, a stack of depositions and a collection of statements from me were what sealed the deal, and the incredibly stupid game she was playing has been fully exposed. No custody, no support, and only once a week supervised visitation. I run into her ex-roommate, upset, but instead of yelling at her, I calmly tell her about the scam Jay was running, then let her pull out of me the truth about our breakup. She's taken aback, but she's also a terrible gossip, so word spreads quickly. People I barely know approach me and apologize for misjudging me, including the aforementioned biker. I'm years past the point of having any morbid desire to check her social media, but every few months she appears as a suggested friend, and I observe bemusedly as the number of mutual friends drops from triple digits to eventually 3. For Christmas, baby's father sends me a massive Amex gift card worth as much as I make in a week at the time. I call him and tell him I'm not sure I can accept it because I don't want him or anyone else to think I did it for a reward. He practically begs, saying you aided in the rescue of my family. In comparison, this is insignificant. Thank you very much. We cry on the phone and eventually form an odd, distant friendship based on mutual respect for one another. I've even had dinner with him a couple of times when I've had to travel to New York for business, and I always buy because the poor guy has done enough and been through enough having to cooperate with this train wreck. She appears to be struggling to stay sober alcohol and other substances to this day and has little involvement in her child's life due to her inability to show up when expected. Baby daddy tells me she's had legal problems, financial problems, and a string of boyfriends who never lasted more than a few months. I'm doing well, remarried 3 years ago, raised stepchildren, am financially successful, and enjoy my life. Granted, a large part of this story is simply karma at work. But I feel like I did the right thing, wasn't petty, and what I did hit her where it hurts.